Bitcoin has hit over $50,000 in a fantastic breakout situation. In today's video, I'm jumping down into the charts. We're going to review what's been going on with Bitcoin and where I think BTC is heading next. Let's roll that intro. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Bitcoin quick update here on February the 12th evening. So we're recording this video approximately 1900 UTC. This is Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the 4-hour Binance chart, and you can see here that we reached this high at $50,334. Following on from this morning's video, we can see that we did have that breakout just here of our trend line. So our trend line was our resistance. We were looking at seeing whether or not we were going to get rejected here. So we were talking about the potential of going short, nice tight stop loss here with a target down towards our kind of low at 5,550 45,500 to 45,879. Obviously we can park that idea. It did not play out, but instead it was the other alternative, which was wait for this breakout and get into a long position, stop loss below that trend line, and we'd target out that higher range. And of course, guys, as always, if we are to be trading, I am going to be leverage trading on BitGet. The link for that is in the description below if you haven't already signed up. Check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So we have here some great potential now, right? So we've broken our upper trend line, as we were kind of talking about this morning, as one of those potential possibilities. And this one here shows us that we will potentially be looking for a retest of our trend line. So the previous area of resistance, turn it into an area of support, right? So we're going to be looking for a brief moment here to potentially kind of retest out the trend line. So we'll be looking for stop loss. I'd actually probably give it a little bit more space, right? So if we were to enter here, let's say, you know, just above this trend line, we're going to put our stop loss below that swing low, and we're going to target out the higher range trend line up here, coming in around the kind of $53,000 to $54,000, right? That's going to be that kind of key area. Good risk reward ratio. Now, at the point of recording this video, we are seeing the market a little bit of a dojo here. So ultimately, the market doesn't really know which way to kind of go after hitting above $50,000. A little bit of selling pressure, but nothing too much. In the same way that there isn't a lot of buying pressure here either. So for the market at the moment, looking pretty good. Now, if I zoom out of this just a ways, you can see that we are inside this ascending wedge pattern still. It is on a macro scale. You have to zoom right out to kind of see this one. And we obviously broke that initial kind of midway level through here. This is like the real tight. If I just move that one out of the way, we look at that ascending wedge there. You've had this breakout here. This is the video that we were talking about a couple days ago, or maybe a day or so ago. I actually lose track of time altogether. But here you can see on the macro scale, we are still inside this larger ascending wedge. Now, this wedge here, we are looking for us to potentially test that higher range at around that kind of $54,000. That's going to be the TP here. Obviously, we were talking about this morning the idea of a cup and handle position. I think it still technically is possible, but I think it's a long shot. You kind of have to kind of curve it off a little bit here, so you kind of have more of a curved out bottom. But, you know, for the most part, I expect it to be a bit of a long shot. Now, the other thing I was talking about on the live stream as a possibility of something that could see a massive breakout would be the head and shoulder pattern inverted here. So I'm just going to draw this in so you guys can see. I'm just going to roughly draw this so it kind of looks like a head and shoulder pattern by giving it a little bit more space, but it's all going to measure up in the end, don't worry. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this in. We're going to look for a right shoulder, and it's going to look something to this effect, right? So as you can kind of see, this inverted head and shoulder pattern. Now, it's not perfect because of how I've kind of got it drawn. It would be more likely to be this. So you can see here that the neckline is that upper area of our trend line, right? That trend line on this macro scale is the neckline of an inverted head and shoulder potential pattern here. Now, if this does play out, it's going to mean that we see a massive breakout to new all-time highs. Okay, so it's one to kind of keep an eye on. It could be in March here that you see such a scenario unfold. But again, anything can happen. This is not yet confirmed because we haven't even finished the idea of this head range. But you could see here that this would tie in very nicely with that upper trend line of this upper area of resistance that we've been seeing. So I spoke a little bit about that on the live stream that we did today, and it is something that we need to kind of keep in the back of our minds as we see this potential move here play on out. Now, the ascending wedge, as you see it here in the picture or in this chart, this is a bearish pattern, right? So we can't kind of look at this and say, oh, look, we're only going to be going up. We can only go up from here. The ascending wedge pattern is a bearish pattern. It is something that we need to understand when we take a look at the charts. We can't look at this ascending wedge and say it's bullish, right? It's very hard, but there are bullish formations that's sitting inside it. And so we can still see fuel to the upside here before we potentially see any of that breakdown. Now, if we do, of course, complete out the ascending wedge and it stays within its formations and we do not get a break above this trend line of any significance invalidating these highs, then chances are that we are in fact going to see a very significant drop from the ascending wedge. And this ties in very nicely with everything that we've been talking about for quite some time, specifically $30,000 Bitcoin. And I know I've seen the comments, when 30K, right? When the Fed pivot. I'll say it again, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again. When the Federal Reserve lower their interest rates, they're going to lower those interest rates, which is incredibly bullish, but they'll only do it when the economy is at its worst, as in some kind of big crisis. Something has broken within the economy that has forced their hand. So now, this could be that there's a huge banking crisis. That's a potential catalyst, or it could be something totally different that no one knows about just yet. But ultimately, the Federal Reserve historically only generally will reduce those interest rates when the markets basically completely dry up of liquidity. Now, we're seeing potential cracks, but we're not there yet, meaning that, you know, the unemployment rate's incredibly low still. That will be on the rise. We've seen a lot of job losses so far, but, you know, we've got to see a lot of these things unfold if we want to see that Fed pivot. And when that Fed pivot happens, that's going to be your drop. So this ascending wedge could take quite some time to play on out. Now, if the Federal Reserve do go ahead and decide that March is going to be the point where they are going to lower their interest rates, then we're going to see, in my opinion, one hell of a drop for Bitcoin. But where's that price going to be beforehand? Well, I don't expect new all-time highs, but I do expect us to kind of be coiling up quite high within our chart here. So trying to target out at the moment 53 to 54K. We'll see how price reacts here. We'll be looking to see this midline that we've been kind of bouncing as resistance, bouncing off as resistance, turning into support. That could be the catalyst for the next run, but we'll have to see. As we coil up here into this ascending wedge, it could be a very bad time for Bitcoin holders. But for now, we can kind of bask in the glory of $50,000 Bitcoin. It's a great achievement, and it's great to kind of see Bitcoin moving back to these levels. I don't think there's anyone out in the crypto space right now that is kind of, you know, really kind of angry at the idea of $50,000 Bitcoin. I think this is a great thing to see that the market is kind of, you know, going in the right direction, or at least the positive direction, even though the altcoins are lagging behind somewhat. It's great to see that Bitcoin is performing as well as it is at the moment. Now, if you haven't yet checked out the live stream, why not check it out? I'll link it right here. There's a lot of information going on in there, so why not check it out? I don't think you'll be disappointed.